you know what? This would have been so much easier to do if I just pulled it off the bike. You know that? It would be. I probably should. Canada because
a boot. Not a boot. Sorry.
Hey, welcome back to Trail Trash ADV with Jeff. I'm in the garage again today on the Goldwing Project. So here is where we are at. Take you out of here and I'll show you around. So we're working on the rear taillight. Here's another mock-up. If we just move this right out of the way. So it's going to sit something like that. Of course, it'll be printed in black. I didn't get the line on this right, so we need to adjust that. And obviously, this is going to serve as a spacer here. That's what's going to mount it on both sides. Now, I only printed half of it because my printer bed isn't big enough to print the whole thing. But we'll stitch it together when the final print. And it will. This is PLA, and it will be printed in black PETG, which is much more. It's the same stuff I've printed all this stuff for. If you remember this big guy right here, that was sticking up between the gauges and sticking right up in the air. We're going to get rid of that. And this is what we're going to get rid of it with. So again, this is a mock-up. This is not the final version. But basically, it's the box to carry those two gauges in. This requires a 7-volt regulator that steps down your 12 volts that are coming from the battery or the charging system to 7 volts. For the windings that are in these two gauges. So this is where we're going to mount them. So there's a glove box underneath here, and this is all empty. And so we're going to cut a hole here. Now, I would have liked to have moved them up here and where this badge is, but unfortunately, there's stuff underneath there. So there's access to your fuel. That's where you put fuel in it because the fuel is under the tank and the Goldwing. And there is the problem is if we put it up where this badge goes, and that's where we cut our hole, it's going to hit this, your main fuels panel, or it's not going to clear the overflow tank for the coolant. And I really don't want to relocate those and move those around. So here's the glove box that goes in here normally. And that's a convenient place to keep all some junk, and it stays put pretty good. So what we are going to have to do is, this may not clear this section right here when it comes down. Plus the wiring needs to go somewhere. So I'm going to anticipate having to cut this. So what we'll do is we'll cut it and we'll use some Plastifix to actually put a wall back in. So today we're going to cut into the hole. We're going to cut the hole in the glove box. And so I've got it outlined. There was just I printed off a bottom that didn't quite work out. One of the measurements was off. In here, the circle's not the outside. The outside measurement is correct. So I used this as a template. And we're just going to chop it in and see if we can fit our gauges. Shop dog is barking to get out. But she hates coming out here when the door's not open. There's no real sense in doing that. Oop, take this out. I don't want to chop into that. We're going to chop into that, but we're going to chop into that when I want to chop into that. Here goes nothing. Now, it occurs to me while editing this video that cutting that false tank on the bike was probably not the smartest thing. It probably would have been much easier if I just had removed it from the bike and done it separately. I guess the reason for doing that, or the mindset in doing that, is the fact that once that thing was in there, I wanted to make sure that I could test it, close the lid, and it wasn't hitting anything underneath. But I realized that I had to probably put that in and do that. But I wouldn't have been able to make spot changes to it while it was off the bike. I would have to keep taking it on and off the bike. So I guess that's probably why I did it that way, even though it's probably not the safest thing. So disclaimer, again, don't do what I do. I'm just documenting the way I do stuff. It's certainly not the best way or the safest way. All right, back to the video. Now, it's hard to do this with a big disc because it's really hard to get corners. Some guys might be able to do it and they might be better than I am, but I just can't, so I've got to be careful. Plus the thing's throwing sparks in my face, so it's hard to see. I'm going to try doing it this way. We're just going to get the cross cut, and then we'll try to hollow it out from there. So I know I was blocking you guys that way. I'm sorry. All right. Pop this and see what kind of damage we did down here. Notice all those sparks are going on the fuel tank. All right. I'm gonna have to just trim that a little bit more right there, that way. There we go. Back. I decided to try the jigsaw with a metal blade. I tend to like to cut thin metal better that way. We'll see, especially in curves and stuff. You know what? It'd probably be good to stuff something down in there. There. Now we can pull out any chunks. Get them around. Don't be bending anything too bad. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because there will be a trim piece around it. Okay. But I do want to get it sort of close. Okay, so we want to go there, 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 and there. Now, probably should just use a Dremel and a sanding disc to remove those. I think that's a 240. Probably should get something a little more aggressive. All right, so I scratched the paint a little bit, but that's not all right. It's going to get painted. It's in there. It's fairly straight. Now the hole is just slightly too big, and if you, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the glass, the prototype is done, but the reason I print this in low quality PLA is so that I can make adjustments, and this is one I'm going to have to make. So there's the rubber seal around the original glass, and the original glass actually got a crack in it when I was taking it apart. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that. So the glass is going to have to be replaced, either that or with plexiglass. I'm not sure what I'll do, whether I'll go with actual glass or plexiglass. But as you can see, there's little spaces in the corners. So this flange, for lack of a better word, is going to have to get widened just slightly, both on the inside and probably just slightly on the outside. So we've got just a bit of a, see, that's why I don't like using those big discs. I cut just a hair too far down here. Now I could always weld that up, but you know, that's making more work for myself. So plus one other design problem is I made this wider thinking it would pinch down, but there's nothing underneath it to pinch to, because I would have had to make the hole like super precision. So what I'm gonna have to do to version 2 is to widen the top underneath too, so that the metal is pinched between both this flange and a flange that'll go underneath. So, and it seems to sit in there fine. I don't seem to be hitting anything. So yeah, if we close down here, it's gonna miss the top of that the top of that reservoir right there. So we should be fine, but the 7-volt regulator might have to come over on this side somewhere else, or maybe mount it down here and just extend the wires or something. We'll have to look at that. How much of this are we going to lose? Okay, goes in there. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe we might just have to trim it. Trim it right there a little bit, or cut the section out just enough that we can put the wiring through. Maybe we don't have to like cut the whole thing. You know, see what I'm saying? Like bang, you just need to trim that. And then there's 3 wires that have to come off, that are negative on one of these, and the 2 positives. So yeah, maybe we'll be able to just punch a hole through the back of this, trim a little bit, punch a hole in it for the wiring, and leave. Oh, we can't do that because I want to be able to. You got to be able to remove that, and I don't want to have to disconnect those wires to remove it every time. So we'll have to slot it so that slides back in and out. All right. Well, the other thing we're working on here is I got this old headlight bucket. I'm not going to use it because I thought it was a 7-inch, but it's not. It's an 8-inch. It makes it a little hard to get a trim ring and internals for. It's off an old Yamaha, I do believe, but I don't think I'll be able to replace it. And I am kind of debating. I haven't caught you guys up yet with the build. I wish I had, because if we were going from day to day, or if I had you guys caught up to the current week, I'd ask you some opinions on what to do. I'm kind of where I've gone modern on the taillight. I feel like I need to go modern up here too. And so instead of, I don't know if I want to go super like modern, like some sort of transformer headlight. Although I have thought about it, doing something maybe like a Ducati Diavel. And maybe that'll be phase 2 at some point. If, you know, we'll keep it sort of classic this time, but this being fiberglass, we could actually build louvers on here, like air scoops, and kind of make it cool looking and futuristic. We can change the lines of that tank cover fairly easy. We could do something really cool, because I kind of see this more of a power cruiser than a cafe, I guess, or something. But like I said, we're in the beginning of the build. It's going to go where we go. I'm going to go where it takes me, I guess. So, which brings me to this. So I'm either going to go slightly modern, old school, or really modern. I think probably we won't go really modern. We're going to go old school or kind of modern. And what by modern, kind of modern, I mean a 7-inch headlight with maybe an LED, a funky LED with a halo ring or something like that. Something looks just a little bit better than just an H4 bulb sticking in a bucket. But the gauge here. So what we've done, this is a look from the cockpit. What I've done is that big plastic thing is gone. The ignition is still there for now, but I think I may move that. A lot of guys mount it down here where one of the fans mounts. There's a mount hole right there. This side or the other side, whichever, right? And have the key here. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm just debating. So I 3D printed a new dash. And so the clocks, it normally would have been mounted up here, those bolts, but I've mounted it underneath and just put nuts up here, stainless nuts. So it mounts underneath. I've put spacers in. So the next version will actually have like plastic there that'll hold it. But right here, I've also added the idiot lights are going to go here maybe. There's not a lot of space there though. In the next version I've got sort of done up. I'm waiting for the idiot lights to get here. So I'll know exactly. I know they're 6 mil. The shafts are 6 mil, but I don't know if the flanges are I don't know how wide they are. The ad didn't say. So, and why is that going to affect it? Because the flanges could be bumping into each other and cause me space issues. So now this is the air line. I can't really move that. So, but the idiot lights are going to have to go in here somewhere, and I haven't decided exactly how on which design, but the clocks definitely are down further. Now I've angled, just to kind of show you guys what this looks like. So that's kind of the bracket. As you can see, you can actually angle this, and so I've angled it both ways to see if I want it, how I want to tip the clocks. I don't think I got the other one up here, but anyway, I had one that angled the clocks this way. I had one angled the clocks a little bit more this way. But I decided to go back to a flat and just drop it down because I think that gives us the best mating. I don't like the space gap here. I want a little less, so I'm going to drop it down a little bit further. But I don't, when you're sitting on the bike, tilting them one way or the other does not seem to increase your visibility of them. You do sit up quite far. So I think if my next version, I'm going to try to tuck them in a little closer and drop them down a little further. And so maybe like right here. So they'll sit there, and that's why the bucket is there, just for reference. So we're going to see what it looks like. I'll do another one in draft. We can change it. It doesn't matter. The final version may not be in plastic. I may do PETG and do like 100% infill. It'll take forever to print. But I may do that and see how strong it is. Jake's dash on his Buell, we didn't like the way it stuck up. So this is PETG. And the Buell shakes like a paint shaker. And that has held up just fine. So that's what it's a little dirty and it's dark, but basically this is what it's capable of doing, that kind of finish. Yeah, you can see the layer lines. You could sand that a little bit and paint it, but honestly, I don't really mind it. But that's been strong and it's held up just fine. As well as PETG is held up with the, well, I did snap a few of these, but you usually got to hit them really hard. So we may leave that plastic bracket because I can do certain things like the wiring back here. I can actually put on a little bucket or some sort of bit to hide the wiring where the idiot lights are going to stick out and be wired up. I don't think I want the idiot lights here somewhere. That's the other thing I toyed with, is putting them in here. Maybe I'll still do that. Maybe there's still room. We can make the flange a little bigger, but I don't know if I want them down here. I think I want them up there. So if you guys got any suggestions, if I don't do this, because at some point it's going to be too cold in here unless I get a heater for the winter. It'll be too cold in here to work. So hopefully at that point you guys will catch up to where I am on the videos, releasing them one a week. So you guys may be able to start giving me some real-time feedback on what we're doing. And I'll have a better look at that taillight and see. I'm not sold on what I'm doing with that taillight, which is why another reason why I'm just printing half is because it takes half the amount of time to print. So that's why I'm doing it that way. Because I don't know if I'm completely sold on the look of it or how it's going to look with the plastic. But maybe I'll paint it and blend it in. It may, I don't know. We'll see what I like. I'm not even sure I'm digging the LED strips either. Like I may go to I haven't ordered the headlight, and I'm not going to order the headlight anytime soon. I'm still going to sleep on that decision because I may end up replacing the back end with, instead of an LED strip, using some sort of a retro taillight. So many of them look generic. I know this kind of looks generic too, sort of with the LED strip, but a lot of the ones that sit back there on your tail rear mudguard, they look like they've been used a lot. Like if you go on eBay, you go on Amazon, you see the same 5 ones that get used all the time. So kind of trying to do something a little different. Anyway, that's probably it for this one. This will probably get included with a bunch of other little jobs because I'm just filming in chunks and bits as I can. So anyway, for Jeff at the Trail Trash ADV, I'll catch you on the next video. You know we're in Canada because...
A boot! That's a boot. Sorry.